Hello, hello. So, quite a bit going on in DSA land today. There was a horrible article that was put out by Mr. Maurice Easerman, an old fogey who really doesn't belong in today's DSA, but we're going to get to that later. There's some pretty good happenings in the Palestinian solidarity movement on our side of the pond. So, let's start with a little bit of a palate cleanser for you tonight. If you live in a major city, you've undoubtedly seen like posters that are put up by Zionists that are talking about the Israeli hostages. They kind of look like wanted posters, but like all of those little missing kids posters that you see, yeah, Zionists and other supporters of Israel. Well, I guess the definition of a supporter of Israel is a Zionist. Anyways, these people have been putting these things up to, I don't know what they're putting them up for, because like the hostages are in Gaza, which is currently being destroyed by the Israeli government. The hostages are not being held in the United States. So why you would put up these missing person slash wanted posters on college campuses in the United States as if they are being held in the janitor's closet by Hamas operatives is beyond me. But yeah, attention seeking essentially. But a brave comrade took action against these things. So let's see the brave comrade.
Are you defending terrorism, really?
How exactly is removing posters that have no place being put up in the United States in the first place? Like, how is that defending terrorism? They always do this. They always try to shift the narrative towards terrorism. I think it's fucked up that grown ass people are bullying and exposing young adults for saying they're against genocide. Yeah, like it's crazy. Like, there's a whole ass website called Canary Mission whose express intent and purpose is to harass people who think that genocide and stealing people's land is bad. A whole ass website. Like, the only purpose of websites like Canary Mission, and there's a variety of nonprofits whose goal is to stifle and stamp out Palestinian solidarity. But like, the express intent and purpose of websites like Canary Mission is to get people fired, get them kicked out of their homes, get them kicked out of school, all sorts of shit. Like, when I was in college, I literally almost got expelled for going to a Zionist held event and asking why Israel routinely bombs Red Crescent ambulances and why Israel does other sorts of horrible humanitarian crimes. And they said that I committed a bias incident. Like, they literally said that the black guy was being biased against these white Zionists who are probably serving in the IDF right now. I hope they get shot. But yeah, like, these people are fucking crazy. Anyways,
You guys really are defending terrorism? Fucking cowards. Should be ashamed of yourself. Should be ashamed of yourself.
actually doing stuff like this is the exact opposite of cowardice. Cowardice is going around stalking these college students and recording them, hoping to put this video up on the internet and get these people in trouble. That's cowardice. These are very, very brave people. These are not cowards.
These people are
Nobody, because like, being pro-Palestinian is not a, it's not a default political position in what we can term polite American political society. Being even remotely pro-Palestine is seen as, like this guy is saying, being a terrorist supporter, or you're subjected to all sorts of silly bullshit. It's not a position that's acceptable. Like, look at what they're doing to people who are in Congress. Rashida Tlaib has been suffering intense harassment for being the only Palestinian American member of Congress.
killing innocent civilians. They killed friends of ours, families, people here are affected directly,
Israel does this every day.
and you guys are denying it, taking them out, spreading hate, encouraging anti-Semitism.
See, like, this is just like, if I had like a virtual dictionary, like, I would put everything this guy is saying under the definition of Zionist bullshit. Like, he's hitting all of the talking points: spreading hate, encouraging anti-Semitism, supporting terrorism.
Dude, you literally know I'm Jewish. Like, I've been...
That's not true. That makes it much better.
No, but I'm saying, like, you have no right to tell people that their beliefs are wrong or that
it's not a belief.
No,
condemning fucking Hamas is not a belief.
Honestly, like, I'm just going to say it. Like, we are under no obligation to condemn Hamas. Like, we're not under no obligation, okay? Nobody in the United States is a member of Hamas. I'm just going to say it. We do not have to condemn Hamas.
You don't have to believe to think that raping someone is wrong. You don't have to believe that someone getting kidnapped, that babies getting beheaded, that 85-year-old grandmothers.
None of this stuff happened, by the way.
Getting kidnapped, it's wrong. That's not a belief. That's not an opinion. And if it is, of course, I don't respect it.
Why are you filming?
Because he wants to get you fired or he wants to get you kicked out of school.
What's your point?
What? To show where all of the hate is coming from in this country.
Keep in mind, this girl is literally Jewish.
Most Jewish students don't feel safe because a lot of other students are doing it. And the worst part is that there's Jewish students like you, unfortunately, who like encourage them to continue doing this and they get validated by it.
You don't know what... Look, you are reading into propaganda.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tell me.
You're supporting occupation. An illegal occupation that's been happening for 75 years.
It's about Hamas and the...
Okay, now she hit back at him, and now he doesn't know what to say. Look at him stammering.
The atrocities and all of the war crimes they're committing. It's not about anything else. You're not condemning terrorists. That shit is wrong.
And then she just goes and sits back down. She sits like a bisexual. I love people who sit like that. So, Anna Epstein. What's going on in the motherland? This is a constant favorite. Brother Julius Malema of the Economic Freedom Fighters. Let's see what he has to say.
You're going to arm Hamas.
He's saying that if the EFF is elected as leadership of South Africa, that his country is going to arm the Palestinian resistance.
We are going to remove this embassy.
So this is a protest held by EFF members in front of the Israeli embassy in South Africa.
Because we can't stay with murderers in the same area.
We cannot stay with murderers in the same area.
Breathe the same air with...
We cannot breathe the same air as murderers.
People who kill innocent people.
As people who kill innocent people.
Don't listen to those who are here on Friday coming for PR. They've got the power to remove this nonsense behind this truck. They are not removing it.
I love this dude. Like, if he was American, I would totally encourage him to run for president of the United States. I just like his vibe.
Why?
This dude is standing up here with the fucking keffiyeh under a ball cap.
Are getting money from the Israeli government. That's why they are scared of the...
Thanks for the movie last night. It was really very enjoyable. Oh, you're welcome. I will show more.
Israeli government. Cyril Ramaphosa was made a president.
Cyril Ramaphosa is the president of South Africa. Hopefully not for long.
With the money donated, Ramaphosa was made a president with the money donated to him by the Jewish people who are behind this Israeli embassy and the Israeli government. Those who gave Cyril money are the Jewish people who are not progressive, are Jewish people who want to perpetuate the apartheid Israel and the oppression of Palestine. That's why Cyril can't say anything. He went to the ANC, NEC, wear a scarf. Yes, sirs. Those Jewish people were like, "Wena, you wear a scarf with Palestinian scarf with our money." He had to issue a statement to explain himself. There is nothing to explain, even ourselves when we live here. We are not explaining anything to anyone.
The American left needs this energy. Like, I've seen so much stupid back and forth and recantations of very mild statements. Like, Malema is going hard here. Like, no mainstream American politician is talking like Julius Malema. But like he's saying, we don't have to explain shit to anybody. Is Israel explaining why they are in the process of trying to wipe out the entire population of Gaza? No. They don't explain shit. Why do we have to explain shit? This is a war. We are partisans, yes? You have your side, we have ours. End of story.
We make no apology for being here. Comrades, we are not only going to...
Oh, it's restarting. Yeah. Take a lesson from Malema. So, new org launched last week. This is Pal Action. They got notoriety because of their actions that they were taking in Britain. So there is now a United States branch, and they released a statement that is basically talking about why they exist. So on Thursday, October 12th, organizers of Palestine Action US took direct action against Israel's largest weapons manufacturer, Elbit Systems, at its innovation center in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Activists blockaded Elbit's main entrance. So this was last week. Actually, a couple weeks ago. So as a Maoist, I'm always a big fan of direct actions. So actions like this are really important because, like, a lot of people, like a lot of Americans, are simply ignorant, or they only their only news comes from mainstream propaganda sources. So you have to take stuff like this directly to the people. Like, go where people can see you. Have propaganda ready to show people who are walking by trying to figure out what the hell are these people doing, pouring red paint all over the place. Like, most Americans are very well-meaning people. They're just ignorant, like they don't know what's going on. I feel like Palestine is an issue where any moral person can come together in favor of. We've seen millions march globally already. We saw nationalist and Marxist Palestinians come together for a single liberation moment. Yeah, I agree. But stuff like this is important, like statements and stuff like that. That's good, but you have to take international solidarity directly to the people. Otherwise, the people are not going to display it. Oh, yeah, good deal. Going back. Elbit's Cambridge office was targeted twice more after Thursday's blockade. That evening, the building was defaced with graffiti. Elbit makes genocide. Oh, hello, unknown person. Yeah, cool beans. Did I just say cool beans? Yes, I did. Elbit profits from genocide and war criminals work here. Then on Sunday, keycard scanners at both entrances were smashed to bits. Based. Yeah. I like it. Old school direct action. What Israel is doing to Palestine is nothing short of a genocide, and Elbit has blood on their hands. Elbit supplies 85% of Israel's military drone fleet, along with bullets, tear gas, land-based equipment. So, corporate watch. Elbit, based in Haifa, is Israel's largest publicly traded arms and security company. Elbit is growing fast. It has absorbed dozens of companies since 2000 and now employs well over 11,500 people, as well as presiding over a considerable global network of subsidiaries and affiliated corporations. 85% of drones used by the Israeli military are manufactured by Elbit. Elbit's armed drones are used by the Israeli army in daily surveillance and attacks on Gaza, according to Defense News. In effect, Elbit markets his equipment on the fact that it has been battle-tested on the bodies of people in Gaza. For example, the Elbit website advises that the Hermes 450 drone is the backbone of Israel's UAS fleet and is combat-proven. So, yeah, really gross company. And they're being directly targeted. So, what PAL Action does is they find out where in their communities, in our communities rather, these weapons of death are being manufactured, or where there are Israeli, where there are Israeli companies that can be targeted, and they organize people and they take direct action against them. In Gaza alone, Israel has used Elbit weapons to murder over 3,500 Palestinian men, women, and children, and injured over 12,000 since October 7th, with thousands still missing under the rubble, in retaliation for the Al-Aqsa flood resistance operation. Yesterday, Israel committed an utterly horrific war crime, airstriking the Al-Ali hospital in Gaza City and massacring at least 500 Palestinians, with thousands still missing under the rubble. Doctors, patients, and families who had fled to the hospital for shelter only to be bombed again. A child is being murdered every 15 minutes in Palestine. A child is being murdered every 15 minutes in Palestine. These bombing attacks not only serve to ethnically cleanse Gaza, but will be used by Elbit to market their arms to repressive regimes around the world, from Kashmir to Azerbaijan to the U.S.-Mexico border. By striking Elbit, we disrupt a crucial link in the military apparatus of Western imperialism. So, we are making Palestine Action a transatlantic movement. Sustained direct action can make business unoperable for Elbit. It already has in the UK, where Palestine Action permanently closed an Elbit factory and their London HQ. So I'm going to link this on YouTube. But this talks about like how they fought for 60 days to get this shut down and were eventually victorious. I've witnessed a change in Palestinian support during the last decade, 2014, 2018, 2020. Most people support them unconditionally, no cap. Let Ruzan, Rachel, and George guide our struggle. Oh. So, cool beans. Follow him on Twitter. Elon Musk was suppressing them for days. Like, nobody was able to follow them. Now they can be followed, and they've got quite a following. They have 201,000 followers, so good deal. So follow them and link up with them. Solidarity with Palestine mandates that we expose Elbit Systems and all weapons developers as manufacturers of genocide. Solidarity with Palestine mandates that we take direct action until Elbit can no longer innovate its instruments of surveillance, oppression, and terror from within our communities. Solidarity with Palestine mandates that we disrupt the U.S. war machine in all of its forms, because Elbit's weapons are murdering oppressed and colonized people across the globe after they are battle tested on Palestinians. So, yeah, give them a follow. So, this is an instance of stupidity that I wanted to talk about. You've got Hollywood stars and Hollywood executives who, like, a substantial amount of Americans, for whatever reason, think actors and other people of that nature, people whose job is to entertain you, people who are not renowned for being very smart, they listen to these people when it comes to important issues. Am I saying that they should not be listened to at all? No, but you have to take the political line into consideration. Like, sometimes these people say really good things. Sometimes, well, actually, most of the time, these people say very dumb things. So, let's listen to it.
Just a quick word from our sponsor.
Webster University Online.
Oh, fuck that. A dizzying amount of A-list Hollywood actors, comedians, and entertainment executives signed an open letter to President Joe Biden on Monday. So they also launched the website, No Hostage Left Behind. October 23rd, 2023. Dear President Biden, we are heartened by Friday's release of the two American hostages, Judith Renan and her daughter, Natalie Renan, and by today's release of two Israelis, Nurit Cooper and Yocheved Lifshitz, whose husbands remain in captivity. But our relief is tempered by our overwhelming concern that 220 innocent people, including 30 children, remain captive by terrorists, threatened with torture and death. Torture and death. Every Palestinian is a hostage of Israel. I'm going to keep that pen for a while because a lot of people don't seem to get it. They were taken by Hamas in the savage massacre of October 7th, where over 1,400 Israelis were slaughtered, women raped, families burned alive, and infants beheaded. None of that has happened. 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 These people are fucking lying. None of that has happened. Like there has not been one piece of incontrovertible proof that any of this shit has happened. And yet, if you walk up to an average American and ask them what happened over there, they're going to say that Hamas was beheading babies. Ooh. That just shows the power of bullshit narratives. Look at this. Haaretz published a list of 683 Israelis killed during Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. After analyzing the age groups of the dead, it was revealed that there is no infant among the lists published so far. Let's see if we can pull up a link. Let's see if we can. Civilians. Okay, we got an 83-year-old person. I'm not seeing any babies. I mean, is it a good thing that all of these people died? Absolutely not. Like, we're not barbarians, but we also have to realize that this is a war. Like, look, killed at the outdoor rave near Ray. And why the fuck are you holding an outdoor rave next door to a concentration camp? Why? Like, you're just rubbing it in people's noses. Like, your country literally has these people in an open air concentration camp. And you are, okay, so there's one 5-year-old kid. Does he count as an infant? Under what instance was he killed? Because the Israelis were showing up and apparently they committed a lot of friendly fire incidents. But anyways, so it's not an ontologically good thing that these people died. But like, it's a war. Like, why is there no list like this on Haaretz? Let's go to Haaretz's front page. Like, there's no list of all of the Palestinian people that were murdered. Killed in Israel. Look, Israel-Gaza war, day 17. They're already saying that this is a war between all of Israel and all of Gaza. Where's the Palestinian death toll? So you're basically only reporting oh, here it is, killed in Gaza. Please play her words. Who is this? That's the New York Times. I'm probably going to get copyright fucked. But, yeah. So, back to this stupid letter. Thank you for your unshakable moral conviction, leadership, and support for the Jewish people who have been terrorized by Hamas since the group's founding over 35 years ago. And for the Palestinians who have been, oh my God. The Palestinians who have also been terrorized, oppressed, and victimized by Hamas for the last 17 years that the group has been governing Gaza. So there's nothing about the Israelis who have also been terrorizing, oppressing, and victimizing the Palestinian people. Who wrote this? Like, did Bibi Netanyahu write this? We all want the same thing: freedom for Israelis and Palestinians to live side by side in peace. That's what everybody wants. But it cannot be as long as Israel exists, because Israel will not allow it. Because Israel is on top of Palestine. Freedom from the brutal violence spread by Hamas. And most urgently in this moment, freedom for the hostages. And then a laundry list of countries. Let's see who supports this. Adam and Jackie Sandler, Amy Schumer, Aaron Sorkin, Ben Stiller, Bob Odenkirk. Bro, you were on the SAG pickets. Oh my God. I wanted to like you so bad. I wanted to like you so bad. But I guess Saul ain't got it all. Chris Rock, who needs another slap. David Geffen, David Oyelowo, Diane von Furstenberg, Eric Andre. Oh my God, I'll never be able to watch TV again. Jack Black, you're too smart for this. Jerry Seinfeld, I thought you were dead. John Hamm, you're an insult to St. Louis. Judge Judy, I thought you were Judge Juche. Justin Timberlake, I thought you had an overdose years ago. Lana Del Rey, Madonna. P. Diddy, Sean Combs, P. Diddy. Tyler Perry. Chris Jericho. I guess you can only get hit upside the head so many times before you lose what marbles you have left. I'm sorry, I have to ban a conspiracy theorist real quick. Bye-bye. Let's see who else. This is a list of celebrities who you should ignore, by the way. I don't know who half these people are. Henry Winkler, isn't that the Fonz? Just trying to see. Like, half these people, I don't even know who the fuck they are. Adam Levine. I think that's the guy from Maroon 5. Will Ferrell. I guess I was born on the Zoomer millennial cusp. Like I said, I don't even know who half of these morons are. Rosie O'Donnell, of course. Man. And my entertainment habits haven't been changed all that much by this disclosure. I was surprised as fuck to see P. Diddy on there, though. So, the meat of this stream. This guy, Maurice Isserman, wrote a very, very horrible and not good statement that deserves a spanking, and this statement was published in The Nation. The Nation is known to those of us who like Phil Oakes because it made an appearance in Love Me, I'm a Liberal. Anyways, a liberal has announced that he has quit DSA. This is a very important liberal. And there's also some tea on this guy, Maurice Isserman. He is a professor, and I hope every Zionist quits DSA. I do too. Like, why would you remain in an organization that, like, the character of the organization is not what it was when you joined in 1992? Like, it's not. You've got a lot of younger people who are joining, and the character of the organization is changing. So this guy, Maurice Isserman, you have a student of his, well, former student, not even a former student, but somebody who attends the university that he teaches at. And they say Maurice Isserman is not even fit to be a professor at Hamilton College, then even consider himself a socialist. I purposefully avoided his classes as a history major due to his reputation amongst black, indigenous, people of color students. He is on the board of academic advisors for the Alexander Hamilton Institute for the Study of Western Civilization, a right-wing think tank that has brought alt-right speakers to campus, threatened to sue student government members for speaking out against the organization, and was involved in the harassment of BIPOC professors out of Hamilton College. During the R. Hamilton movement in 2022, where AHI received a lot of scrutiny, he reportedly was mad that students kept bringing up that he was on the board of academic advisors. Since then, he is no longer listed as a member. But why did it take so long for him to step down? Why did it take him so long to remove his name? DSA is a big tent, multi-tendency org. We are better because of our disagreements. However, I hope we can find consensus that members that aid and abet alt-right and neo-Nazis have no place in our organization. And honestly, I'm a supporter of like sort of locking down who exactly we let in. Because like this guy should have never been in the organization. Well, I guess he joined before all the communists did. He joined when it was still a debate club and social club for drunken liberals and Zionists. But it's something different now. And you have to understand that a lot of black, indigenous people of color like myself may not want to be in an organization with the guy who co-sponsors an organization like that. So, let's see what Moron Isserman has to say. He's belonged to only two nationally organized left-wing groups in his life. The first, Students for a Democratic Society, for just over a year. Then he was in DSA for 41 years. His membership in SDS ended in 1969 when he was 18 years old. His membership in DSA ended with considerably less drama last week when at a somewhat more advanced age, I resigned from the organization via email. I left to protest the DSA leadership's politically and morally bankrupt response to the horrific Hamas October 7th anti-Jewish pogrom. Okay. First of all, what happened on October 7th was based. It was the opening salvo in the latest campaign for the liberation of the Palestinian people from the Zionist entity, and all good communists, all good DSA members support it. Using this language to refer to a righteous opening of a theater in a very long-running national liberation war is fascist. It's fascist. So you're basically taking Israel's side and you're taking Israel's word. That took the lives of 1,400 people, mostly civilians, and saw over 200 hostages carried off to Gaza, both groups of victims, including children and infants. Oh, here we go, the babies again. Like, again, this guy has no business in a left-wing organization. He should go hang out with his buddies, the Democrats. Then he goes on to complain about left sectarian entryism for some reason. What does entryist have to do with the fact that you are in the business of denouncing anti-colonial acts as pogroms? Like, you went through the 60s, bro. I know you read Fanon. You probably thought Fanon was a pogromist too. And not only do you spend your time supporting right-wing think tanks that bring alt-right speakers to campus, but you're also very, very concerned about entryism. Then he draws comparisons to the left-wing majority on the National Political Committee with PL, which apparently still exists. Like, apparently they hold a big march every May Day in Brooklyn, but PL was trash. the left-wing caucuses in DSA are not trash, even though I disagree with most of them on certain things. They are in no way comparable to the Progressive Labor Party. The Progressive Labor Party has more in common with a cult than it does a Democratic centralist organization. They did a bunch of weird shit. Like this was the hippie era, mind you. This was when everybody was taking dough, doing all sorts of shit, growing their hair long, growing afros, wearing love beads. These people were wearing tweed blazers and Oxford button-downs because they thought that dressing like a hippie or dressing like a college student in the 60s would turn off average, ordinary, everyday workers. Average, ordinary, everyday workers were turned off by the left in general in the 60s, with precious few exceptions. So, this square-ass looking white dude is Michael Harrington. He was one of the co-founders of DSA. The other was Barbara Ehrenreich, who I would say was to the left of Harrington. I actually read one of her books in 7th grade, nickel and dimed. I think my gifted program teacher might have been a secret socialist. Anyways, hope you're doing well. So, suit socialism. Is that actually a thing? I'm going to take him down on my next cult watch. Hold me to that. So he talks about PL being influenced by Maoist China. This shows that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, this entire article is slander. I will find out, and you will find out in my next cult watch about Maupin and his suit socialism. Unlike my generation, for whom the overriding issue of the late 60s was opposition to the war in Vietnam, I know who Maupin is and what he runs. Most of DSA's new members were attracted to the organization by its proposals for substantial, vital, and above all, realizable domestic reforms, such as Medicare for All, the Green New Deal, student debt relief, tenants' rights, etc. As a result, between 2016 and 2020, DSA's membership expanded from 60,000 to 90,000 plus, while dropping the average age of members from 60-something. So in 2015, the average age of a member of DSA was 60 plus. That's not a political organization. That's a nursing home. To 20-something. Scores of new chapters open up, including many located in cities and states that hadn't seen an active socialist presence since the era of Eugene Debs, if ever. And these young, energetic recruits proved remarkably politically savvy and successful in the field of electoral politics, not only elevating 4 members to Congress, but also sending nearly 200 others to state legislatures, city councils, and other offices, almost always as Democrats. All well and good, except for the return of the entryist. Here, this dude is obsessed with entryism. Like, bruh, where did PL touch you? Unknown numbers, hundreds, perhaps more, started joining in 2016. Some of them former members of defunct Marxist-Leninist groups, others in violation of DSA bylaws still belonging to and carrying out the agendas of such groups. They proceeded to quarrel and compete amongst themselves. Okay, the Bolsheviks did the exact same thing, although this guy is like a Harringtonite, so I don't think he would consider the Bolsheviks an ideal system of organization, but I digress. And recombining under various banners like Red Star, Marxist Unity Group, and even the Communist Caucus. Very good comrades all. I have no real beef with any of these groups. And like, okay, caucuses and a heavy scene centered around line struggle, as we Maoists call it. Normal people call it political debate. Like, that's healthy for an organization. Like, what type of, who is going to join an organization where all you do is go out to bars and drink and then go campaign for a candidate every year? Like, no. Younger people like myself, well, do I count as younger people? I'm 29. Anyways, I'm not 65 fucking years old. Anyways, younger people grew up in the age of the internet. Like, we are able to go on Marxist.org and like read shit about communism. Many of us identify as some type of communist. So it's not the 60s anymore where only wackos read Mao. That's what this guy thinks. I know better because I've studied the 60s. Anyways, that's a good culture. Like, that's a sign of a healthy organization. A sign of a dying organization is a bunch of 65, 66, 67-year-old motherfuckers just sitting around and writing shit for Nation. Like, that's a sign of a dying organization. DSA is able to do shit because of the energy of those 90,000 plus people who joined between 2016 and 2020. It's able to do stuff like that because it has an active caucus scene that struggles this stuff out. Yes, sometimes struggle gets sharp, but like, look, I'm coming from the Maoist milieu. Okay, our line struggles make those in DSA look like tea parties. Okay, like when you line struggled in the Maoist movement in the year, I don't know, 2021, you got a brick thrown through your window or you got a dead dog strung up on a lamppost next door to your house. That's how fucked up Maoists in the United States have been. The scene in DSA is nowhere near as bad as this old motherfucker is portraying it as being. Anyways, let's see what else Nutcase has to say. But they remain united in one overarching shared aim to take a well-meaning, not particularly well-organized, that's a problem, and essentially social democratic organization, that's another problem, still committed in practice to the original DSA vision of creating the left wing of the possible, that's a big problem, and reinvented as the mass vanguard party of the proletariat. That is what we need. We need a mass vanguard party of the proletariat. That is the only way that revolution can occur in the United States. Ugh. So he just goes on to whine and whine some more. He whines about entryism. This dude is obsessed with entryism. He also does not like Marxism-Leninism of any type. At each of DSA's biannual conventions in recent years, the sectarian caucuses, comprised of entryists and those they recruited, gained strength in the organization's ruling body, the 16-member National Political Committee, until finally achieving a working majority in the August 2023 convention. That's actually why I joined. Like, I was heartened to see Red Star people and Mug people, and there's another caucus I'm definitely forgetting. But I was heartened to see that the left wing of the organization had accomplished, had pulled off a majority on the NPC. That's what made me join. Virtually nobody in the organization outside the ranks of the various caucuses knows who they are, what they stand for. So DSA members are stupid now. Like, you're just mad because one of your little old school Harringtonite buddies didn't get elected. And for all of your hatred of the Marxist-Leninist party style, you probably wish you could purge all of us. But you can't do that now because you don't have any clout and you're not a member of the organization anymore. So, he links to the organization's page. Anyways, I have 3 free articles remaining. In the old days, everyone in DSA knew who Mike Harrington was and who Barbara Ehrenreich was. Wow. I thought only Marxists, Leninists, and Maoists had cults of personality, and how they agreed upon or differed on organizational priorities. The same is true of other leaders in the responsible positions in the old DSA. This is just the fucking old crank whining about the good old days. Like, I know who all of the NPC members are. Okay? Like, I can follow them on Twitter and drop them a message if I have a question about something. Whatever its shortcomings, there was nothing mysterious about the inner workings of DSA back then. Back in my day, we had 2 people who ran our organization, and we knew who they were. we didn't have any of these Zoomer Maoists and their left comms and newfangled ideologies. In 1982, when DSA began, support for labor Zionism was widespread in its ranks. But over the next several decades, the Labor Party faded as a political force in Israel to be replaced by right-wing Zionists, and the prospects for a two-state solution to the Palestinian question evaporated because the two-state solution is a fucking idiotic idea. One state, secular Palestine. I doubt if many DSAers today would describe themselves as Zionists of any stripe, although many, at least many of my acquaintance, remain committed to Israel's right to exist, as well as its right, within limits that it too often violates, to defend its national security. So you are a democratic socialist supporting a fascist... Bruh. Just go home. Just go home. Boomers. I repeat, this motherfucker, who was my organizational comrade up until a few days ago, literally just wrote in a publication read by tens of thousands of people, he says, at least many of my acquaintance, including himself, remain committed to Israel's right to exist, as well as its right, within limits that it too often violates, to defend its national security. Is this Joe Biden writing under a pen name? But that doesn't account for the singularly important role of Palestine in DSA's rather short list of international concerns, completely overshadowing the attention paid, for example, to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, or to the rights of other oppressed peoples like the Kurdish Muslims or China's Uyghur Muslims. So he wants to pick a fight with China. He wants to denounce Hamas. He wants to support the right of Israel to exist, but he wants DSA to spend most of our time saying China bad. I'm sorry. That warranted coffee. Starting as far back as the 2017 National Convention, chants of "from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free" began to be heard at DSA gatherings, and support for the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement targeting Israel became a litmus test within the organization's political purity, as it should be. As it should be. You know, when I was in the Socialist Party, we had a sort of a row. The organization's presidential candidate, I can't remember when he ran, David McReynolds, he's dead now, thankfully, called Mike Brown a thug. He was allowed to remain in the organization. He was not censured. So this is something that this Easterman dude would do. Yes, if you take offense at the slogan, "from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," there's something wrong with you. If you dislike the BDS movement, there's something wrong with you. You're a rightist and a soft fascist. For the sectarians, discrediting elected DSAers who fail that task helps to move the organization closer to the desired break with the Democratic Party. Yes, we should break with the Democratic Party. That is the number one thing that people roast us for. Like, why are we so fucking chained to the Democrats? Like, yeah, I don't want to be Joe Biden's running dog. I want Joe Biden to be my running dog. There was a serious push within DSA to sanction or even expel Representative Bowman for voting to approve U.S. funding for Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system and for traveling to Israel in 2021 on a trip sponsored by the liberal Zionist and pro-Palestinian rights. Okay, you cannot be those two things at the same time. You cannot be a Zionist and also be pro-Palestinian rights, because rights come from land. If you do not have any land, you have no rights. Bowman quietly lit his membership in 2 DSA labs in 2022. Which brings us to the events of early October, which will not require an elaborate retelling except for those who spent the last several weeks on the dark side of the moon. Hamas, a fanatic right-wing religious fundamentalist group committed to the destruction of Israel and the expulsion of its Jewish population, that is not the case. Am I seriously going to have to go through their fucking manifesto? They do not want to expel the Jewish population of Israel. I'm sorry, Palestine. Launched its offensive in the early morning hours of October 7th, murdering, torturing, raping. Didn't I just say there is no evidence that there are any rapes or torture? Or kidnapping those unfortunate enough to encounter its marauders. Like, Jesus Christ. You're talking like a fucking crusader, bro. Barbaric Saracen marauders. Ooh. Bernie Sanders responded the same day declaring, I absolutely blah, 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 blah. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez responded as well, saying blah, 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 blah. So he goes on to echo these same critiques of the currently infamous march that was held on October 8th. He says, that same day, the New York City DSA chapter urged its members to attend a rally in Midtown Manhattan, called for the following day by another left-wing group under the slogan, All Out for Palestine. At that event on October 8th, not yet 24 hours after the attack, one speaker would giddily note the slaughter by Hamas of hundreds of young Israelis attending a concert in approving terms. The resistance came in electrified hang gliders and took out at least several dozen hipsters. That got a big laugh. I would have laughed. Like, he was funny. That was Eugene Puryear from PSL. He's a funny dude. There probably weren't a lot of DSAers in the audience, and no DSAers spoke from the black. Like, bruh, this is how millennials and Zoomers bond, okay? We are a very ironic group of people. I'm sorry. Like, that's what we are. We grew up on the internet. Like, this is just a boomer complaining about the fact that Zoomers and millennials have taken over the left and are accomplishing more than his generation did. His generation sold out. Ours still has our principles and values. That seems to be like the root of what's burning this dude up. Now he's complaining about individual branch statements. Connecticut DSA tweeted on October 8th, yesterday the Palestinian resistance launched an unprecedented anti-colonial struggle without providing any of the messy details as to what that struggle involved. Okay, so this dude is like verging racism. Like, this dude is racist as fuck. Like, he's against colonial resistance. He thinks that Palestinians, black people, Kurds, anybody that's oppressed should just lay down and negotiate with our oppressors. This guy went through the 60s, okay? He probably went to a civil rights march or two in his day. He saw firsthand what happens when you butt up against a violent system with nonviolent resistance. So it is suicidal to continue to use those failed tactics. I wonder what he thought of Malcolm X. So he goes on to talk about eloquent responses to DSA's all but explicit endorsement of Hamas's horrifying atrocities. Bruh, how many DSA members did this guy know? Like 5, all of which joined when he did? Because like there's been a pretty heavy line struggle between leftists like myself in the so-called moderate wing of the organization. And like many of these DSA statements, or many individual DSA members have condemned the atrocities. So I don't know what this dude is fucking whining about. Then he wraps up by quoting Sarah Silverman, who said, "The DSA, of which I was a proud lifetime member, has lost me forever. Over 1,000 slaughtered as of now. Girls raped over the bodies of their friends." They keep running with this narrative. I keep saying, everybody who promoted this narrative about dead babies and mass rapes, like, they need to apologize and be banned from discourse forever. Because you are not just promoting myths and sowing confusion, you're also serving to dehumanize colonized people. Like, you'd have said the same thing when black people rose up and liberated ourselves in Haiti. You'd have said the same thing to justify violently and brutally putting down slave rebellions. You're not a friend of colonized people. The only reason that you're calling yourself a socialist is because you want free shit for whitey. That's all. These are kids, babies, teens, elderly, many of whom, like my family, march in the streets nightly protesting Netanyahu and the occupation. That's who Hamas murdered, you fucks, knowing Israel will retaliate. Do you get that they don't give a fuck about Palestinian lives? So you know that these people don't give a fuck about Palestinian lives, then why would you continue to promote nonviolent resistance? An organization that can't take a stand condemning a right-wing terrorist group that set out to murder as many Jewish civilians, including children and infants, as it could lay its hands on, has forfeited its right to call itself democratic socialist. It has, as Sarah said, lost me forever. Well, go join the fucking Democrats. So, yeah, fuck this guy. And North Star Caucus, the Harringtonite caucus of the DSA, actually shared this, well, liked this horrible article. So, to the Zionists in DSA, to the moderates in DSA, to the liberals in DSA, to all of the anti-communists in DSA, I get what you're saying. But you have to understand, like, people like me, we're the future. For every bomb that Israel drops in Gaza, for every black kid murdered by the police in this country, for every person who's evicted from their home, radicalism, ultra-leftism, Maoism, whatever the fuck you want to call it, uncompromising opposition to imperialism, to settler colonialism, to capitalism grows. Okay? So your day is over. Y'all failed in the 70s, and then y'all became yuppies in the 80s. And now you actually have the audacity to like lecture. Like, this is nothing that I haven't heard before. I learned nothing new by reading this stupid article. This is the swan song of a grouchy old man whose day has passed. My day is here. My comrades' day is here. I saw somebody on Twitter say that they want 100,000 new DSA members. Not just any DSA members, no more Eastermans. 100,000 black, indigenous, Latino, trans, queer people with radical politics. People like Easterman leaving is a good sign. Lenin said, but fewer but better. That means like what exactly does Easterman do for us besides make us a joke? So we're no longer a joke. We are a serious militant political organization. We're not a drinking club for old white men to share war stories about how they met and shook hands with Martin Luther King. Later for that. The world is being turned upside down. So let the cowards flinch and the traitors sneer. We keep the red flag flying here. I'm BRG. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be playing City Skyline 2. What will I build? Wait and see.